Welcome to Spiritual Psychology. My name's Renee LaVallee McKenna. I'm a therapist and shamanic healer. And today I want to talk about the golden shadow. And the psychiatrist Carl Jung called our submerged creative potential our golden shadow. And shadow parts in psychology are generally the disowned aspects of ourself. And the traditional shadow is seen as kind of our wild, animalistic, aggressive nature. A lot of our unresolved emotional issues and unbridled passions will come out in the shadow. Our desires to rape, pillage, dominate, seek revenge, our selfishness, our rage, all the stuff you aren't supposed to bring to church or Catholic school. And there's tremendous value in maturing, healing, and integrating the power of our shadow. But the golden shadow is something different, where the dark shadow is seen as our core life energy and passions that may express themselves in a destructive way. The golden shadow is our unrecognized greatness. The golden shadow is connected with our own unlimited creative potential, and we can often discover our golden shadow first by looking at other people that we admire. And the bright qualities that we admire in others are often disowned or projected aspects of the best parts of ourselves that we have disowned or unrecognized, and we can only see them externally in the good works or creativity of other people. And as Marianne Williamson says, it is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. She continues, we ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. Your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. I was just going to read part of that, but it's so great, I had to read the whole thing. And in my experience, and in spiritual psychology work, the golden shadow is not just a philosophical idea that's interesting to talk about. It is a practical, tangible presence that can guide and empower you to your own optimal existence. So about 4 years ago, I had a powerful golden shadow experience of my own. I had just returned from a trip to Europe. It was kind of a lifetime trip. I had put money aside after the sale of my mother's house after she died. And I brought my kids for 3 weeks to 5 countries. It was amazing. And I was sitting on my deck overlooking the Pacific Ocean in the beautiful city of San Francisco. I had a very nice husband, 2 kids, 2 dogs, 2 trucks, 2 houses, 2 of everything. And I wanted to commit suicide. I wasn't making a plan, but more than once in my life, I've had the distinct feeling that dying might be a good idea, that my outside life did not match my inside life. And for all the prosperity and material wealth and everything looked amazing on paper, I had the American dream. I felt like a prisoner of a privileged life. I had climbed up the ladder of success to some extent, and when I got to the top, I realized that my ladder was perhaps against the wrong wall. I've had many clients come into my office with this same experience. I live near Silicon Valley. I get people from Facebook, Salesforce, LinkedIn, super successful, big 6-figure incomes, went to the right schools, living in the right house, and they're unhappy. And they're disillusioned. One woman said to me, I feel like I got put on a train by my family in high school. Sent me to Cornell and graduate school, and I landed here in Silicon Valley with this quote-unquote fabulous job. I want to get off the train. She wanted to be a photographer. But her family's idea of success was about prestige and material wealth and a fabulous resume. And as we worked together, We redefined what success meant to her. And success to her meant to be happy, to be peaceful, to find joy and fulfillment in her work, to spend more time in nature. She hated managing people, no matter how much they paid her to do it. She didn't even like serving the tech industry. It was against some of her principles. And so she determined that success for her was to follow her own golden shadow, the creative, earthy tomboy that her well-meaning parents encouraged her to suppress because of their own narrow view of success. Part of the reason I love being a therapist is because every therapy session is an opportunity for me to grow as I sit in the presence of some of the most brave and brilliant people I've ever met. And my clients frequently teach me. And so as I sat in the sun on my deck that day, wanting to die, I did what I usually do when I feel fucked up. And I called my best friend and I said, dude, I just got back from Europe and I want to die. What is that about? And she's been with me for a long time. She's incredibly wise and intuitive and she knows me really well. And she said, I have no idea, but you might want to pay attention to that. And I hung up the phone, not feeling much better, you can imagine. And I had this really powerful experience. I had the visceral feeling of this presence stepping in front of me slightly to my left. And I kind of dropped into my body to see intuitively what was going on. And it was this older part of myself, probably about 85. And she was kind of pissed. And she had her hands on her hips and she said, girl, I was just over 50 at the time. She said, girl, you have a choice. You're kind of at a crossroads. And everything looks real good on the outside and everybody's real stable. The kids are doing well. The husband's being very successful. Family's all happy, doing a lot of community work. And you can live that safe path, but you'll probably die about 72 like both your parents did, and you won't be terribly happy. Everybody else might be happy, but you won't be happy. And you can even justify that with some martyr shit, but I'm the one you gotta please. At the end of your life, I'm the one who's gonna give you a thumbs up or a thumbs down. And if you wanna please me, if you wanna live your optimal life, then you gotta do the scary thing. You gotta take the risk to really be all of who you are in the world and see what happens. And I knew what she was talking about. Immediately I knew that if I followed my own golden shadow, there were two things that would need to happen. I would need to write a book, and I would need to leave my marriage. And it felt like a choice between getting a thumbs up from my own optimal self and getting a thumbs down from most of the people in my life, or getting a thumbs up from everybody in my life and getting a thumbs down from my own authentic self. And I knew that if I chose the path of pleasing others, that those suicidal feelings weren't really going to go away. Because on a soul level, I was giving myself a death message. That my own needs weren't important and that I wasn't actually doing everything I was capable of doing in this lifetime. And I kind of have this little motto in myself of no regrets. I've been in depression before, the pressing down of my authentic self. And for me, it doesn't go away until I let that authentic self out. Now, it's come out in some pretty funky and destructive ways in my life. But at this age and stage, I wanted it to come out as consciously and constructively as possible. So I knew, although it felt like a terrible choice at the time, I really didn't have a choice. That I needed to take the proverbial road less traveled. And within 2 weeks, a series of circumstances had come about, and I hired a ghostwriter to help me write the first draft of my book, Allies and Demons. And about halfway through that book writing process, it became clear that I was out of integrity in staying in this marriage, that I was asking people to do things in my book that I was not doing myself. And we don't have to have been everywhere we ask other people to go, but we need to be willing to go there if we're going to ask others to go there. And my golden shadow sat through that process too and said, it'll work out. Trust me. Oh, and I battled with that one, but again, those kind of depressive, suicidal type feelings came up again, and I don't feel like I had much choice. And I have to tell you, although I thought I picked the easier one first in deciding to write the book, of my two choices, writing the book has been the most difficult thing I've ever done in my life. And the divorce process has been one of the most grace-filled and graceful processes I've ever been through. Everyone is good, and we have actually had a happy divorce. We're nothing but kind and respectful to each other, and I have these amazing open relationships with my kids, who seem to be doing well. Everyone ends up in therapy, so... They have their own experience to manage, and I'm here to be there with them as they move through it. But so far, so good. I am actually planning to do a program on how to have a happy divorce. And the first step in that is to pray for the highest good for everyone involved. And I continue to pray for that today. And I'm still in awe of how amazingly well things have worked out. And my golden shadow is pretty happy. There's been a Renaissance experience in my own life. I've gotten to revisit and reclaim parts of my dark shadow and integrate them as a middle-aged woman in ways that are very exciting, joyful, and empowering. I work really hard to keep my body strong and healthy. I was eligible for knee replacement surgery. I probably still am, but I think Western medicine is stupid around a lot of things like that. And so I'm squatting 60 to 80 pounds twice a week instead, working up to 100. And a lot of this process has been like a metaphor for leg day, if anybody lifts weights. Leg day is terrible. Most people hate leg day. But you know what? If you want your ass to be cute, you got to do squats and deadlifts. And when we do difficult things, there's an old saying that if you want self-esteem, you have to do esteemable acts. And doing the hard or the scary thing, when it's in service of our own authentic self, of our own golden shadow, builds tremendous strength, resilience, and trust in the universe. I've had to learn all this ridiculous stuff, all these tech tools, how to record. Oh my God. And I've needed so much help. And the universe has come to meet me with so many brilliant, talented, amazing people. So much help. So many deep and enriching relationships I have now. And I still have that deck overlooking the ocean. In fact, I'm going to start to Airbnb out that space and do private retreats, hopefully in 2021. If anybody's interested in coming to San Francisco for 2 to 5 days to do a private retreat, my house, shoot me an email. The room's actually already set up. So the golden shadow is a guide, a teacher, a compass that has already lived your best path and knows how to get there. Working with the golden shadow is like beginning with the end in mind. If we determine a goal, we can work backwards in how we got there and know what the steps are forward to take. We could say the golden shadow works with multiple realities theory and the infinite possibilities of how our life could go depending on all the tiny choices we make. And we can pick our own golden shadow, and it doesn't have to be at the end of your life. It could be 1 year, 5 years, 20 years ahead. For many people, it arises spontaneously just when we offer this possibility because our own highest good resides within us and is supported by the universe. And our active imagination, conceptualizing the golden shadow, is a really powerful way to work with it. My own golden shadow remains a constant companion and advisor, sometimes a taskmaster, often a cheerleader. And she's not done with me yet. We have a lot of awesome things to experience and create and receive before we're done in this lifetime. So if you're interested in discovering your own golden shadow, if you want to find out more about my 3-month mentorship program in spiritual psychology or how a block of sessions might help you in your life, send me an email, info@reneemckenna.com. And we're in the planning phases for some exciting digital courses in the Allies and Demons work in the next few months. Deepest gratitude to my generous supporters on Patreon. Blessings on your path until we meet again. This is Renee LaVallee McKenna for Spiritual Psychology.